I was out of town during a family emergency and was not able to put up a video in the last week. But I learned firsthand about extended power outages and why everyone needs long-term electric power backup. So, while I take care of some of the things that didn't get done while I was away, I thought it would help to tell you about what I learned and why it might be important for your emergency planning. Let me start by emphasizing what I'm saying is not designed to make you afraid, but more aware and maybe help you prepare for events where you might be out of power for longer than a few days. We all take for granted that when we flip the light switch, the lights will come on. Or, after a power outage, it'll take a while and things will return to normal. But what happens if they don't for a long time? Ask some of the people affected by weather events in the last couple of years, when it took weeks for power to return, just how stressful it is to be without power long term. A little background. The backbone for what causes the lights to come on is a simple box called a transformer. We've all seen them. Those substations with round boxes with cones on the top. In the 21st century, those boxes are still made by hand, and there are not enough technicians who know how to build them. Our current crop of transformers is wearing out, and some have even been attacked. Right now, there's a 2-year backlog for transformers. Once you add in the draw from data centers, in my mind, it's not a matter of if, but when you will have a long-term power outage. We all talk about the grid, but what is it? I've included a map that shows that the grid is really a connection of all those substations I mentioned that is separated into 3 segments that cover the entire country. So, a problem in Miami could potentially affect electricity for Chicago. Water and light companies may have gas backup generators, but what happens when the gas runs out? Let me say that I'm not a purist and think most people need a combination of gas and solar to power your energy needs. I have gas backup for my backup to run devices. But I primarily depend on solar, batteries, and power stations as my energy backup. I say that because I recently watched a gas station line in Indiana that was over a mile long with people waiting to get gas after being without power for more than a week. People were lined up at this particular station because it was one of a few in the city that still had electricity to power the gas pumps. Gas definitely works, but it was a bright sunny day, and I couldn't help but wonder if that line would have been shorter if more people also had solar backup. A lot of us have power stations for the occasional power outage, with the plan to charge them up from a wall outlet before a storm or get them out of a closet when the lights go out. I want to help you shift that thinking to planning for longer-term power outages that can start with what you already have or just doing additions that can give you a lot more power muscle. Because let's face it, in the current environment, during a major event, you're pretty much on your own. So, what are the elements you need for a small solar setup that will give you lights and keep your fridge going? Some people aim for a whole house system right out of the gate, but that requires a pretty large cash outlay that a lot of us don't have. This is why I opted for power stations and solar panels. In terms of basic power from a power station, I suggest starting with one that can give you at a minimum 1,024 watt-hours, and I recommend getting at least 2. You want 2 because one can be dedicated to your fridge, and you can rotate solar charging with the other to still have lights at night. If it fits your budget to get 2 with more watt-hours, that's even better. But 1,024 watt-hours will get you through because you can solar charge while running appliances. You might also want to check my video, my simple solar setup questions answered, that is linked in the description for setup details. I started with EcoFlow because I use that for power while camping. The brand is up to you as long as you have the basics for watt-hours. Solar panels giving you at least 200 watts is a basic for charging your power station. Yes, it's a small amount, but can keep you going in a pinch. Starting small also allows you to learn more about solar before you try to expand your system. This prevents you buying things you might not need because you don't know you don't need them. I can already hear people grumbling that you don't have that kind of money, and I didn't either. But here is where you have to get creative. I was sponsored by a military family member into Navy Federal Credit Union. They offered me a credit card with an introductory 1% interest rate for balance transfers for 1 year. And that offer is still running. I bought the power stations and solar panels I needed for my setup on that card only and had a year to pay it off with minimal interest. Most banks offer intro rates, so shop around for the best deal. On another front, a good number of big-name power station companies have outlet stores on eBay for refurbished equipment at a nice discount. The same applies to solar panels that can be purchased new or used through Amazon or eBay. Combine that with an introductory credit card offer, and you have already lowered your cost and made your setup easier to afford. The third option is to simply save up for your purchase, wait for sales, and pay for them outright. It does work because I've done it. It all just depends on your budget and how creative you want to be. No matter how you decide to get your setup, it is something to begin thinking about because the grid is under constant pressure from weather events, data centers, and aging equipment. It no longer holds that something major only occurs during a certain part of the year. Any one of those three could leave you in a situation that may require you to manage without power for a week, a month, or several months for that matter. And the more prepared you are, the easier your situation will be to manage. See you next time.